Chai After Dark includes adult language and NSFW content. If you have auntie sensibilities or uncle sensibilities, this podcast may not be for you.
Hey everyone, on this episode for Chai After Dark, we are recapping episode 3 of Indian Matchmaking on Netflix, titled, I'm Trying My Best. In this episode, a setback with Vinay temporarily discourages Nadia. Sima Aunty offers 2 more prospects to Aparna. Feeling the pressure, Pradhyuman finally goes on a date. The main characters in this episode, if you didn't know already, are Nadia, the event planner in Jersey, Aparna, the lawyer from Texas, and Pradhyuman, the jeweler from Mumbai, Bombay, India. Nadia and Aparna have already met some folks. Meanwhile, Pradhyuman is yet to meet a match. Without further ado, let's go. Hello, everybody, potty people. It is your boy, Captain Ron, speaking. Welcome to another episode of Chai After Dark.
Woo!
I'm here with my lovely co-creators and co-host.
This is Shabnam.
We got Samim.
All right. We got Shabnam and Samim up in the house. All right. You ever play Crazy Taxi?
I used to.
The video game?
Yeah.
No.
Shabnam, you know the car is you're a taxi driver and you pick up people and it had the Offspring as the background music. It was tight. Anyway, I tried to mimic that voice. That's where it's from. All right.
Hey, come on over, have some fun with Crazy Taxi.
How are you guys doing?
I finally got my air conditioner fixed. I'm very grateful to have a functioning air conditioning now.
Having gone to Saudi in 120-degree heat and breaking air conditioners left and right, especially in the car or a hotel, yeah, I do agree with you that air conditionings are of value.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to do a Hajj recap with Captain Ron?
This is in reality the Captain Indian Matchmaking recap.
As boy.
Rewatch. You want a slideshow? I can give you a slideshow.
We can leave that for a bonus episode.
Yeah, that'll be for the Patreon or Substack subscribers. By the way, which you can sign up for at chaiafterdark.substack.com.
We just also need to get pictures of Imran's rice cooker. That's in his
It's
background.
not even mine. You know, I always got the dinky automated version. This is like a classic.
We should
Pot.
auction it off.
It's a classic pot. But nobody's going to see it because these videos aren't going out. At least not yet. So listen, guys, you know what's tough about this podcast is that most of the time when I'm listening to podcasts or, for example, Aparna's book, I'm either driving or exercising. And so I listened to Srini's podcast, who went on half a date with Aparna. And I will say this on Srini's podcast. It was actually pretty good. He was pretty good. It was just short and sweet as far as his recap was concerned. And a discussion of the diaspora, of course, the Indian versus American-born Indians, just the differences between the two, and the importance of how Indian matchmaking is bringing upon the discussion, regardless of the editing.
I have a question for you. Is it diaspora or diaspora? Like, is there an ass in it or is there no ass?
Somebody Google that.
Well, let's use Google.
Diaspora or
Let's
diaspora?
Use Google Translate's audio tool. Let's see how it's just diaspora. That's diaspora. Yeah.
I think the way to remember that is diarrhea, ass. Diaspora.
No, I think the way to remember it is like diaspora. You take your ass from one place to another, and then you become diaspora.
Come on.
That ass is dead.
So anyways, what happens in the beginning of this episode 3?
Today we're talking about episode 3 of season 1 of Indian Matchmaking, titled I'm Trying My Best.
Yes, we are.
We start off with Shobha and Manoj, who are elders. I don't know whose parents they are, but they found 2 old couples that have been married for, over 50 plus years, just to get their hot take. Unfortunately or fortunately, Manoj doesn't say a lick. Sima Aunty, she gives her advice in marriage in general. And she does say that, look, work on your careers and don't be in a hurry to get married. Granted, she's been married for 50 years. And the only thing she doesn't like about Manoj is that he's silent. He rarely talks. Right after she made that comment, he is dying laughing inside. He's just like wheezing, laughing.
He looked like that was the first time he ever heard her say that she told her grandchildren to take their time to get married. He was like, what? That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. He did give that. He did give that look. He's like, what you talking about, Willis?
Yeah. I wish I learned that in my marriage.
What?
To not talk when your wife of 52 years is talking and giving advice and telling.
To not talk when you think your wife is saying something dumb.
Dumb or enlightening. She thought she was being enlightened. Doesn't have to be dumb. Just don't talk.
My husband does that. Now I'm wondering what he's thinking. And I always ask him, what are you thinking? And he says, I'm not thinking anything. And I think he's lying.
I'm pretty sure your husband has thoughts.
I think we all have thoughts. My mechanism usually is to not talk if family's having an argument or something like that. Or I just won't talk. I will become silent. If I get upset, I'll just be silent. Because I seep in that mentality of if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all. Or I just think if I stay silent for the most part, it will not cause additional damage or harm or yelling or whatever it may be that I come up with. Unless I'm truly right. I have to be 110% right about something. Otherwise, I'm just going to stay silent.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem. May or may not have completely blown up some things by not staying silent like I should have. That's some great advice, Captain Ron. Thank you. Sima Aunty kicks off the episode hot, though, right? Like, right after we see this old couple, she comes in hot on Aparna.
Yeah. Sima Aunty comes in packing for another trip. Sima Aunty didn't like Aparna's quote-unquote talking pattern. They kind of recap Aparna's date for a little bit, and Aparna said that she didn't have a good time, which is mind-boggling to me because we see her having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it wasn't only until the very end. I think it was because of the whole Brazil thing.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember, Shabnam, like what was said that she's like, no, he's not for me?
I think it was when
Well,
you talked about his podcast, I thought.
Yeah, I think it was that she felt that he had too much potential and not enough fruition. He wasn't motivated enough. He just wanted to relax by the beach. But the thing that she says in her book is that he said that he wanted someone who was local in San Diego and he wasn't really interested in anything long-term with someone long distance. And then in her book, she also goes into the fact that Sima Aunty and her mom got into it because Sima Aunty told her mom that her mom should tell Aparna to like cool it and be more agreeable, and Aparna's mom totally disagreed with that, and this producer had to get involved in the middle and all this stuff. So after hearing that in Aparna's book, this scene makes a lot more sense because you see Sima Aunty, like Samim said, she came in hot. I had a really negative feeling in their home. It was like negative vibes. She says all this stuff and she's like, Aparna's, you know,
We need to change our talking pattern.
yeah, and that's why later when she gives Aparna the two new guys, Aparna's like, well, as long as they're open to actually taking this process seriously, then I'm into it. So like that all aligns with what she wrote in her book.
Well, it was also the age group too, right?
The what?
I think it was
Oh, the
36 and
age,
38.
Yeah.
Also fits into the criteria of it all. What chapter are you on right now?
So I read 5 and 6 for today, but this little part about her and her mom, that was actually in like 3 or something. But I remembered it after seeing like the beginning scenes of this because I was like, oh, that all like tracks.
Now, I'm also listening to the audiobook, obviously behind, and I just finished chapter 1 on there in the audiobook. And so hearing her travels did make more sense in this episode because during her schooling days, she took a 100-day trip through South America or Asia. And it was like eye-opening for her, and it was great, and so on. It kind of gets brought up a little later on her date. But right after this, Sima Aunty starts praying super hard for Aparna.
She was like, please let Aparna find a decent mate. Please make me get along with Aparna and her mom.
She went to an OG god when she was praying. There was convulsing. There was crying almost. I've never seen somebody pray and cry so hard. I didn't realize that marriage was the end all be all. But for Sima Aunty, she didn't think Aparna could do it on her own. She needed some divine intervention.
Hey, that's Sima Auntie's paycheck too, you know?
Oh, I know. I actually love the prayer because when she ended the prayer, she ended it in English and she said thank you into the abyss. At the very end of that prayer is the most interesting part of that prayer.
Yeah.
Well, she is trying her best.
Yeah.
Which is also the title of this episode. So right after the hard prayer, we're off to Nadia. And Vinay and Nadia are going out. They've gone out for at least 6 to 7 times. Do you think love is in the in the air?
Yeah.
Wait, are they scissoring? What are they doing?
Oh, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something.
Well, they're definitely making out. That's for sure. You see it on camera. There's phone camera footage of them on their dates kind of chatting, having a good time, smiling, just cheesing it up. And then what happens, guys?
Whatever an F-boy wants to do, an F-boy's going to do. He did exactly what he was going to do just by the look of him from the last episode. 6 to 7 dates, starts to get a little wobbly.
She should have read a book by its cover, is what you're saying?
Look, this guy, he was attractive, he's charming, but he just gave that vibe, especially when they showed them on like their second or third date when he was hanging out with his friends and her, and they all had Coors Light. They all had sleeveless tank tops, and they were all wooing out in some fair or like a festival. I don't know what it was. So just that vibe, I knew what was coming. And I didn't know she got ghosted. But when I saw that scene, I was like, this guy's about to do some fuckboy shit.
Because that was the checklist: tank tops, a Coors Light, and saying woo.
Sunglasses. Don't forget
the sunglasses. Don't forget the pearly whites too. He's got some teeth on him.
They were supposed to go on a movie date, and he didn't show up. He texted the next day, and they actually interview him, recapping like, "Hey, what the heck happened?" And so he went in saying that he went to a exercise class, and he got heat exhaustion from that exercise class. Now, I'm not defending him as a person, but as somebody who's gone to hot yoga, at least 2 out of, I think, maybe the total, like 8 times I've gone to hot yoga, I have gotten like some sort of heat exhaustion from it, and gotten like one time I did get sick from it. So maybe he had that as a lie in a back pocket of his, but he did also sound sick when he was recording that first response.
Yeah, but you didn't text someone and say you're on your way. Then you go do hot yoga, then you get sick, and then you don't show up to the date. He forgets that he texted her that I'm on my way, and then he never showed up. That's what her story is.
One comment I would like to make about Nadia's outfit: I did like her choker necklace. It was just nice. I think her style is.
Thanks for letting us know.
It's pretty good. Yeah,
I'll be sure.
I don't remember it at all.
No, I'll be on the lookout for women with chokers for you.
The choker necklace.
You need something to connect. You need something to connect to it, or
my God.
just a choker down. Are you going to buy me a choker necklace?
let's talk about this in the
talking
bonus episode as well.
So Nadia's talking with Sima Aunty, and the B-rolls are of dancing and text messages with Vinay, and that's where the heat exhaustion comes over. An apology basket was sent to Nadia from Vinay to give him another chance.
So he sends her flowers. Then he sends her her favorite chocolates. Then he sends her cookies that all say "I'm sorry" on them. So I feel like either he really likes her and she's really making a big deal out of this and he's just like really trying to make her okay, or he's did something messed up and he feels guilty.
I mean, we have some more context that we haven't gotten to, right? He cuts back into the show later.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird because, dude, like, have you ever done like triple whammy to girl like that? That's a lot.
No, I mean, I have, but that's more so, please don't leave. Not I'm sorry for flaking on you because I was doing hot yoga and my ass was leaking. Like, I don't know what his excuse was.
But that's what I'm saying is I think it feels like
my ass leaking from hot yoga.
Is this a Karen Reed reference?
No, it's you get like a half a cup of sweat in your ass when you do hot yoga. It's a reference to that
part. Yeah, I thought you meant my beehole is actually leaking. I forgot. Yeah, there's sweat down my crack.
Oh God. Okay.
Ski.
Shabnam, you need to get us in line.
I know. This is Chai After Dark, not Chai After Dark.
Chai after the runs.
Well,
What was I saying? Yeah, I'm just saying that I think that was his please don't leave.
Yeah.
so Sima Aunty is telling Nadia, just ask, what's the deal? Like, just ask. There's no harm. She's like, yeah, you're right. Okay, cool. You got the apologies of sorts, so she does give him another chance. But we don't see that just yet. Now we cut off back to our homie Pradhyuman from Mumbai.
Oh, this was the best intro yet.
And so he's showing off his skills in dressing the idols that they pray to at the mandir/shrine that they have at their home. And he dresses them up every single day in their prayer hall.
That's a flex.
Different outfits.
That's a
every day.
flex.
He's so rich, even his idols have a closet, like, bigger than mine, probably.
They have their own their own walk-in closet.
Yeah.
Well, they did show the closet, like at least the cupboard or the closet. I was like, dang, dude. It's well organized, color coordinated. This guy does have a knack for creativity and design. I will give him that.
Is it him or is it whoever he hired?
It's.
At least we're being shown that it's him.
I mean, it was him liquid nitrogening up some food, and it was him
True.
getting that smoke into Sima Aunty's mouth. So yeah,
She wanted all that smoke.
She wanted it. She got it. So I like this part where he gets into his car like he's some sort of mob boss in Mumbai. He drives around the streets saying how much he likes to go out, and they allude that he is whipping through traffic on his way to like oversee some murder or something like that. But he's just going out for some like late night bites.
Which I found funny, the editing in this.
Yeah.
They shook the camera just a tad and made it seem, and they fast forwarded, like they sped up the video to make it seem like he was speeding through the streets of Mumbai in his nice car. Yeah. Like, yeah, I'm a rich boy. I can do whatever I want in the streets of Mumbai. I'm like, nah, dude. You're probably going 20 kilometers per hour.
It was like a Nissan Intrepida or something, a car that they only make in the Indian market. Like, it was definitely not a Mercedes or BMW or I don't know what's popular out there, but it was like a Nissan Intrepida. Or I couldn't get the name of it, but
no, the nice car is going to be driven by his driver, not by him.
Not by him, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
he's probably getting the second one.
Yeah, but he decides to go on a date, right?
Yeah, because Khushbu, she talked him into it. He was like, okay, fine. When I saw her and heard Sima Aunty talking to her, I was like, there's no way he's going to say yes. And then when he said yes, I was like, it must be because of Khushbu. And then he says, after talking to Khushbu, I decided to give her a chance. We have a lot in common. So there's that.
Now, Snehal is the date that he actually finally goes on. She's from Jalgaon, and I forget how far that was from Mumbai. Let's look it up. Let's be accurate about this. So there's no flights available.
That's what he said. He said it's very disconnected.
It's a 7-hour train ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
He ain't gonna do
or
that.
4 days walking. You could walk in 4 days.
He was kind of dissing her, too. He was
totally.
like, oh, it's so disconnected. Like, what do you even do there? He's just such a, city, rich,
little
privileged. It's like he has all these kind of Western ideas of, how a relationship should be and how he should get to grow and all this stuff. And I'm like, you can have that in India if you have male and rich person privilege. There's no girls that can be like, I just want to grow. Their mom will be like, shut the hell up and go get married. He just has so much privilege.
He knows he's privileged. He knows he can take his time. And he knows the only reason he needs to start dating and get married is because of time. Because he's 30, which is too old for him to be single in the South Continent.
Half his life is over.
Yeah. She literally said that.
Khushbu said that. Come on, Khushbu. He's like, you only got half a life to live.
Yeah.
Bro.
Well, and she's like, you're taking so long to pick a wife. Half your life is over. Like, what was he supposed to pick a wife when he was 10?
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
It was supposed to be ordained.
Yeah.
In the cards.
But this girl was, I was just so surprised. She was, not to diss on her at all, because she was pretty, but she was very standard, homey. And then what did he call her? He literally called her
simple and homely.
Yeah, he called her simple and homey.
Her.
And I'm like, it's almost like they picked her so he could shit on, a Gaon person. Like, she's literally from Gaonville, which is Whoville of India.
But she
Yeah.
she does reiterate the fact that it's a normal city now. Like it's a normal city.
Yeah.
Like,
She had to prove it.
She had to
She's
prove
like,
it.
it's a proper town.
Yeah.
It's a
like
proper
she's like,
town.
I'm
It's
not
not a
from a
gaon.
village. Yeah, she's like, no, it's not a village. Don't worry. I know it's called Jelgao, and like village is literally the second syllable, but it is a proper town. I swear. Like she had to like.
He wasn't into it.
Actually, let's look on Google Maps to see if it's a proper
Yeah, let's
town.
pull up a still footage of this. I'd love to see where she's from.
Jelgao.
Oh my god! It's a village.
It has
There's
a four
animals.
seasons. What are you talking about? There's a Four Seasons
There's a
for
four-
$28 a night. This is not the same Four Seasons.
Dude, we should
Recreation.
we should go find her and interview her. We can all stay at the Four Seasons. This is amazing.
Oh look, there's a train.
Looks like India to me.
Look at this. Look at this modern building. Look at this.
Oh damn.
Oh damn.
This
Okay.
is exactly.
I mean, it's a proper
It's a
town.
proper
I would
town,
say
yeah.
it's a proper town.
Yeah, but
you know,
It's a proper small town. It's a small town.
There
yeah.
you go.
It ain't Delhi. It ain't Mumbai. But you know, Mumbai does also have the villagey parts of town. So does Delhi. Everywhere has it. This is just a small town version of it.
Well,
Yeah.
It's a proper town.
he put it on blast, and he was straight up like, "I got her number, but it doesn't mean I'm going to call her." And he loved it. He loved saying it.
That's
This
funny.
is one of those nights out. Have you done that before, Samim? Where you've been a night out and you're like, I got her number, but you never just contact her?
You know what? I don't think I've ever gotten a number from a girl at a bar. Like, I don't think I've ever been in that situation. But I was also married for a long time, a few times in my life. So, all those years, I don't have a lot of opportunity to do all that. Shout out to the ex-wives.
I think
Yeah, right.
everyone's gotten someone's number and not used it, right? So how can we really complain? But it did come off as pretty dickish.
It's
so.
almost like he wanted to do
Yeah.
it.
But the thing is, she had a personality, or at least hobbies, that matched with his, right? So that's where she's an artist, painter. And her painting was actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
The one that she was showing to him. And she's also a health freak as well. She loves to do yoga every single morning. So the attractiveness, he said it, the attractiveness was there, but I do think the nail was that she's from Jelgao.
Yeah, and I blame this on Khushbu because she should not have pushed him so hard. I feel like he was like really trying to give Snehal a shot, and then he even took her number, but he's like, I'm not really going to call it. And that was because Khushbu was putting so much pressure on him, and she should have laid off.
Why is he on the show then? If he's going to look at 150 biodatas without
Why-
meeting anyone.
Why is any guy in a Desi matchmaking auntie's radar? It's because of his mom. It's not because of him.
That's right. She says that. Like, it's not about the marriage between the husband and wife. It's between the families.
Yeah.
What's funny, I got married. Our families didn't hang out all the time. It wasn't even that close. Like, we were perfectly cordial. Everything was fine. We could be in the same room. But I don't think my white in-laws wanted to hang out with my conservative Desi parents all that much. But
Same.
I really don't think they
Same,
want to.
but even with my siblings who have Desi in-laws, like we don't hang out with their like families. Don't hang out all the time.
There's too many.
You know,
I have 3 siblings. They
Yeah.
all have in-laws. Like, if we hung out with them all the time, there'd be 50, 60 people a week. That'd be insane.
yeah, yeah.
Anyways.
That's an expensive dinner. We're done with Pradhyuman for now, and we move on back to Aparna. And this time she meets one of 2 choices that she's given. His name is Dilip. He's from an Ivy League, wants to settle. Aparna thinks it's promising, and take it away.
So this guy she's happy with. She called him a unicorn on paper, but she meets him and they start chatting, and he says he wants to go see the Northern Lights, and this was after like 5 minutes of her going on and on about all the millions of places she wants to travel to, including Ecuador, Colombia, Iran, and Pakistan.
Don't forget
and how-
Pakistan.
Yeah, because she's Sindhi, so then I know other Sindhis as well. They were in Pakistan when the partition happened. That's why she wants to go there, I think, is she said also to take her mom so they can go to Sindh. So then Dilip starts talking about what he would want to do on a vacation, like hanging out on a beach. And she says that
For 10 days.
Yeah, she says that she can never be on a beach for more than 3 hours. And he says, okay, what would she do to relax for like 10 days? And she says, why would you want to relax for 10 days?
Why are you getting offended over the word relax? It wasn't even like any argument was happening where it's like, just relax, just relax. Don't tell me to relax. None of that was even happening.
Yeah. And she says, what's happening in your life that you can't relax in your real life, that you need to take 10 days off to go relax? And it's like, oh my God, he's just trying to
question you on that.
Yeah, he's just trying to understand like what you want to do to like chill out, right? But I don't think she chills out, you know? She's not a chill outer. She's a
always on type of thing?
Yeah, I think she is. I think she's always on. He says that he feels relaxed now that the date's over when they do his interview afterwards. He says that he can relax for 10 days, and he thinks it's interesting that she couldn't really say how she would relax for 10 days.
He was so like positive though, and they had a couple drinks. And then afterwards he was saying that he might want to see her again, but we knew that there was no way. That was like a little bit of the liquor talking where he's like, okay, they show her having a good time. They obviously had a good time, but we know he's not going to see her again. But he couldn't wait to get out of there. That was hilarious. She was like attacking him even though she agreed with him on everything. It was just so insane.
Sometimes I'm like, maybe this is her communication style and she doesn't get that it sounds like she's being really adversarial all the time. She doesn't seem to understand how she comes off.
Yeah, but she ended up not being into him anyways, so she said that there was no chemistry there, even though he was a unicorn, which goes to show that she's doing it the wrong way. I don't know. What would you guys want? Every check box? Or would you want chemistry without a couple boxes being checked?
Seeing how I haven't been married or had a long relationship, I think my unicorn idea would be chemistry. I think the right answer would be chemistry. What does the survey say?
That is the right answer for everybody, because everybody who they actually end up with, have relationships with, or marry, most of the time they didn't check every box. You know, when Sima Aunty tells people like, oh, you have to compromise, it sounds like she's telling people to settle, but in some ways I kind of understand it, because like even the people end up falling in love with on their own, finding, getting married, they don't like check all your checklist.
I mean, not at all. That's what my aunt was telling me over the weekend. She came here from Pakistan, settled in Virginia. She's out here visiting. I went to Northern California to visit the family. She came at me. She's like, what, you can't compromise with these women? Like, what's wrong with you? I'm from the village in Pakistan, and even I know that you're supposed to compromise in marriages, especially here in the United States. Like,
burn.
Yeah, I think she was watching Sima Auntie's Instagrams or something, or her reels, or she had some like all this wisdom she was dropping, which it wasn't like that 20 years ago.
You didn't want to record her like a reality TV? Like, sit down on this couch. Let me position the camera, please.
Talk more. Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah,
the few scenes that we've already talked about, they cut in so many different scenes from interviews from Nadia, from Vinay, from Aparna in different situations, and they just cherry pick the sentences that they say depending on the narrative that Netflix is pushing. Imran, you were talking about that last episode. Like, it's just so willfully cut to make sure that there's enough drama coming out here that we're entertained.
And we see this throughout blog posts and podcasts of folks that went through it. And then it's not even just this show. It's a very common trait that the reality TV show narrative is always going to have that sort of editing to display somebody in some sort of light. There's no shortage of that here in this one, especially when Aparna just says like, wow, and just gives her blank skin.
No context.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that happens with Nadia and her parents, where they I looked at it, I'm like, oh my God, they just added a beat of silence. Okay, get a picture of her dad just looking like, oh, I'm not sure like what's happening here. Okay, now a picture of her mom. Oh my gosh, my daughter's doomed.
Yeah,
that sort of look. They just add those beats in there
the blinking eyes
on purpose just to bring some sort of, oh my gosh, I don't know what their parents are thinking. Oh my God, my daughter. It's annoying. It's annoying as crap.
But this next scene is completely real, and I feel for Nadia.
So now we hit up. That's a good segue. Thank you for bringing that up.
I can fix her.
This next segment,
she
we're
can
back
cry
to
on your
Nadia
shoulder?
and friends.
Nadia and friends, all of them.
Nadia and friends are at a restaurant sitting by the bar, and this is where Nadia is going to introduce Vinay to her friends. And there's text messages going back and forth. They're all excited. They were talking about, oh, you gave him another chance. Yeah, I'm giving him another chance. He did all this stuff for me. Okay, cool. I think this is the next step to meet. I've already met all his friends, so now it's the time to meet my friends. And then what happens, which we already knew, and Samim kind of really set it up nicely earlier in this episode, he ghosts.
Yeah.
Second time.
Mr. F-Boy ghosts the second time. And she had already mentioned, like, hey, I want to grow from that. I don't want people to take advantage of me. But he did all these other extra things to apologize. That fine, I'll give him one more shot. And
but the way he ghosted,
just ghosted.
Shabnam, tell him.
So he texts and he says, I'm on my way. And then she's like, God, he's taking a long time. So she texts him, like, 30 minutes later or something. Like, hey, are you almost here? And then he texts back, I'm having a fight with my sister. I don't know if I'll be able to come.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Arguing with my sister.
How old is Vinay?
He's like 36. 35, 36. Like, arguing with my sister. I can't go on a, 8th date to meet my potential girlfriend's friends. That was insane. That was awesome. I'm going to put that excuse in the vault. I'm going to use that.
I started asking the question to myself, is that, okay, you're 7 dates in or something. You're not serious, but you're meeting the friends and so on. And I would assume in the non-Muslim world, like, you're a little more comfortable telling your family or your sister that, hey, I'm dating somebody. So saying, hey, I'm going to meet my date's friend, and then you have a fight with your sister, and that's the excuse of not going. Like, your sister, even if she's fighting with you, would be like, hey, I'm going on my date. I got to go. Bye.
Yeah.
Just peace out.
We'll fight about this later.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is where he needed Imran's advice of just stay silent.
Even with your sister.
Yeah.
Even with your sister.
Okay, but now we have to give his side of the story.
All right. So
So-
Shabnam has the lowdown on Vinay's other side.
So basically, his side of the story is that this happened first. So he was supposed to meet her and her friends for dinner. And at that time, he said he had a family emergency. He kind of tries to say that it wasn't a fight with his sister, but he doesn't really say it wasn't a fight with his sister, so who knows. But he says that's why he canceled on her the first time. So that was the excuse for the first time, and Netflix is
So it
kinda
wasn't
like,
yoga.
But
So it wasn't
But what does it
yoga.
matter what the order is in his mind?
So that I'll tell you. So then he says that then he gave her all the flowers and the whatever, and he was like not very communicative because he was really emotionally troubled over whatever he was going through. And so then he gave her all those gifts and they got back together and whatever. And then the movie happened second. So at that time, he took the yoga class, he got a little sick, and he knew that in the morning. So he told her, I'm not going to be able to come. And she was okay with it. And then he got an IV and he felt better. And he was like, hey, I can still come. And then she got really pissed about it. Like, he's like, I don't know, wishy-washy with her or whatever. Like, she was just annoyed. And she ghosted him after that. That's what he said.
Oh.
I did hear rumblings about that part a little bit. So the details are nice. So thank you for
I don't
bringing that
actually
up.
think the
Yeah,
Netflix
what the
episode
hell?
is that far off, though. If he did,
he
did it first. She ghosted him second. She deserves to ghost him. Why is he the only one that's allowed to ghost?
So Aparna hella shades Nadia in her book because Aparna basically says that Nadia's, for lack of a better word, really shitty for taping the whole scene with her friends of him ghosting her because that it didn't actually happen like that.
Oh,
right?
it was set up.
So
yeah, that scene is totally
yes.
set up. It's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, so Aparna shades the crap out of Nadia in her book for that. And it's like, I asked all my friends, would you and a few of your friends go do that? And they were like, no, our friends would never do that. And they would tell us not to do it. And she was like shading Nadia and all her
I think this
friends.
goes back to Imran's point where she probably has her own producer. And the producer was like, let's get together for dinner and make it seem like he doesn't show up because that's what they needed in the episode. Because he ghosted her anyways, so might as well make a different situation.
You see how there's the hero villains arc on every relationship. So if Nadia is our gem, she's our hero. Well, those dates have to be the villains somehow if they don't work out, right? And it didn't fit their narrative. So we're like, all right, let's make it up then, if that's the case.
And she is pretty tore up. She's crying and stuff. They show her again in a different interview.
Yeah, but she had her period, so whatever.
Also,
wasn't
when
gonna
she's
say
crying,
that.
I think, dude, Aparna is completely correct because her crying in that pose is the same clothes she's wearing in the first episode. So obviously, there's like creative editing going on.
But you only have
Continuity
so
error.
many. You only have so many confessional looks.
Yeah. Anyways.
Wait, was she wearing the same choker necklace in the first episode?
Oh, that's the one you're talking about. Yeah, that is a nice joke.
See, I told you. What the hell? Gotta
Yeah,
pay
I
attention
forgot
to
about it.
fashion.
Hey, man,
Come on,
we all
Shabnam.
saw it. We
I
all
don't
saw
expect some meme to know.
I was thinking about her on her dates.
No, Imran doesn't want to see her on dates. He wants to see her crying by herself.
With that choker necklace.
Okay, then.
She does come back in this
Whatever.
episode, though, so we do have a chance to talk about her again. There's a twist coming.
Okay.
There's a twist coming,
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
So now we're back with Aparna and her second date, and it's with Shaker. Shaker is also a lawyer, even though she said she didn't want a lawyer.
How many times did she say that?
She said it a couple times, and she's hanging out with her friends as well. And this is like a hang out with your friends and talk shit about your date type of thing. And so she says it a couple of times. Oh, I didn't want a lawyer. Oh, you didn't want a lawyer. I know, I didn't want a lawyer.
Then they start showing the date, and it's
You know,
pretty
I
messy.
didn't want a lawyer, and I married a lawyer too. Because I just felt like it's. I
You
don't know. I just felt
You never
You just
know.
don't know.
exactly. See, this is
You
what I'm
never know.
saying. You never know.
Now, I appreciated her friends trying to piece together some context around it and encourage her, especially around these things.
Yeah, but so we have to actually talk about her date with Shaker,
Yes.
right?
We get a little bit more background on Aparna, how she was born in London, raised in Dubai. And now she says raised in Dubai. Do you think she was 3 years old?
I think,
until
I
3?
think she moved to Houston when she was 3. That's when she started making good decisions.
Yeah.
I think that's what
I
happened.
think her life was a mess between 0 and 3. It's pretty obvious. I think she was on
Yeah.
crack.
She
Dubai
made
crack.
terrible decisions. That's why she thinks Dubai is like Disney, and it was just a bunch of terrible Disney decisions. And then she moved to Houston when she was 3 and made every right decision after that.
Oh, she made it very clear
Man.
to this guy. I like this
I
guy.
wanna go to Dubai.
I liked him. He came in. I thought she was going to tear him up. But that's not what happened.
And Shaker was a nice guy. I did like him as well. But he's too extroverted.
She didn't like
Okay,
that
hold on.
he was chit-chatting with the staff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't like that he was nice to the waiter.
She didn't like that he was nice. That's what she was trying to say.
Focus
on
right
me.
here.
Be
right
rude
here.
to the wait staff. Focus on this dime in front of you.
Sometimes I think that she is like an early version of AI that's void of emotion. Just something about that. I'm looking at like ChatGPT 1.0. Not right now, the 1.0 version. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
she wants somebody with a personality. I don't know if she wants somebody with a personality, but she's void of a personality, at least on screen.
I don't think she's that bad. She talked about the sex tourism in Cuba. They both went to Cuba.
You know what she does though? She like takes people off guard all the time, right? Like she talked about the 3 places she lived in, and then he said, "Oh, I haven't been to Dubai. I'd want to be there." And then she's like, "Oh, it sucks. Why would you ever
Yeah,
want to go
Abu
there?"
Dhabi,
It's like, well,
yeah.
maybe he didn't actually really want to go there, but he's just trying to make conversation. And then she like shuts it down. You know how those improv rules where it's like, don't say no, say yes, and I feel like that's a good rule for like most first conversations. Like, kind of just like build some rapport, right? But she doesn't do that. So then they start talking about Cuba and how it's not safe for women. And they're kind of getting some agreement on that. And then she's like, sex tourism. And he's like, wait,
Yeah.
what? Okay, where are we going with this? Like, he's like always getting whiplash.
He's like, how'd you know? That's why I went there. Aparna can figure anything out.
But she's a lawyer.
she got
No,
him.
but you know what bugged me?
But she hates being a lawyer. And she's like shocked that he likes being a lawyer.
But it bugged me about that Cuban trip conversation.
Yeah.
Is that I was hanging with my friends and some of them were women and so on. I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. Like some of the women are a group and stuff. They're in his group. They're friends. They're in his group. And she was bringing up the sex tourism thing. And then she said it's such an underhanded comment. She said, "Oh, they should have been worried about you." Like his female friends should have been worried about Shaker.
Going to Cuba?
What the hell are you talking about? You didn't set up the rapport that you're a comedian.
Yeah.
Okay? You
Yeah.
can tell jokes or light-hearted jokes. That's not even light-hearted when you're starting to insult him and his female friends about watching out what he is.
Is that because she's saying that like the sex tourism was male centric? I don't even
I didn't understand her
that.
point, really. Like she was.
Yeah.
I think the point was to show that she has this propensity to make people so uncomfortable, and I don't think she understands that her biggest gift to the world is awkward moments.
You said she was self-aware, but she's not aware of her own comments. She's not.
No, did I say she's self-aware? I meant
she's
she has no
self-aware
awareness
about
of people.
She's self-aware about her attitude.
Oh, yeah, she has self-awareness about her attitude. I don't think she understands that it makes people cringe or change the subject.
What is that called when you're not aware of people's feelings? You can't detect their feelings.
She has like low EQ.
Low EQ,
she just has low
that's a good
EQ.
one.
Emotional what is that?
Emotional quotient. Yeah.
Yeah.
Low
I think
EQ.
that's
I've met
right.
people like that in the past. And
It's almost like she's been hurt one too many times that she's wants to like subconsciously fuck with people, and if they let that slide and still get to know her, then they've passed her test. I almost feel like that's what she's.
I don't think anyone's
what's
ever
going
fully
on.
passed the test, though. Well, of
Yeah.
course, that's why she's on the show.
It's a huge checklist that she has.
But same thing.
Yeah, but she's bringing up all this stuff. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, same thing. She's bringing up all this stuff, and he even says she's cool. And that's like what he said about her. I was like, cool? and never.
Initially, that's what he said. It was cool. Until the interview with him in the hotel room packing up. It's like, get the hell out of there,
Get
bro.
the hell out of Houston.
Yeah, in that he says they're fundamentally very different people, and then he goes like, even the way we travel, the way I travel is so laid back, and the way she would travel is like not. And he's basically saying, just like the other guy, she doesn't know how to relax.
Yeah, it was the same
He's
comment.
literally saying
Yeah.
the same thing.
She wants experiential stuff. That's what it was, like experience.
Yeah.
It's like experiences in everything.
And that's why I made a note
Yeah.
of asking you guys, what do you get out of traveling? If it's not relaxing or getting your mind off of your life or problems you may have or situations that you just want to leave. Like, there's every reason to travel. Her reason to travel is to show off to people how much Bolivian salt flats she can get to.
Listening to the book, this first chapter, she talks about those 100 days travel in the book. She's like, Mauritius was the best. Yeah, well, nobody can get there. That's why. It's like, Mauritius, I loved it, the people and everything. I was like, Mauritius is super expensive, super nice, obviously. And you spent 4 to 5 days there? You're on an island, beach island. And she relaxed there. She
But
couldn't
not
brought
for
the
10
thing up.
days.
Yeah.
It wasn't 10 days.
Only
it
50% of that time.
Should I talk about the other like juicy stuff in her book this time in 5 and 6?
Do you
chapters 5 and
want to
6?
tap? You want to tap on that? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so basically the backstory is that her mom raised her to be this really powerful woman. So when Sima Aunty told Aparna's mom to tell Aparna to tone it down, Aparna's mom made it clear that Sima Auntie's ways were not conducive to their family sensibilities. And this all comes from the fact that Aparna says, quote, "My mom had an unsuccessful arranged marriage to a man who had nothing in common with her. It was a poor match, and that's being charitable on its own description." So her mom never wanted her to meet a man through a matchmaker and was really skeptical of the process. That's why her mom was super supportive of her like Aparna energy. Right. But seems like a trauma reaction. And it's also really crazy that she says, my mom had an unsuccessful marriage. She never even calls it her dad.
Oh, he gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she says the cute old couple at the beginning were there to influence people to think arranged marriage is great, but there's like pervasive sexism, feminism, casteism, colorism, heightism, weightism, everyism. But I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, also, I feel like that's the case on dating apps too. So
yeah, I'm not seeing a huge difference between opening yourself up to an arranged marriage and then throwing your pictures on a dating app. And not only that, basically half marrying everyone you come across to the point of exhaustion, and then you end up with a partner. No, both ways are potentially ineffective.
Yeah. And most interestingly, women in the subcontinent actually start championing her strength and decisiveness, and they start taking back and owning the word stubborn. And so this is where I think, like, okay, you know, everyone needs a little bit of Aparna energy, and the women in the subcontinent definitely need some more Aparna energy. But Aparna, as she's portrayed in the show, has way too much Aparna energy, even more Aparna energy than she says she has in real life. So
you're saying Aparna needs to cool the Aparna energy down.
Yeah, but she says that in her real life, she has less Aparna energy than she did on the Netflix show. So, you know.
That makes sense. We've been talking about Netflix portraying her as, you know, the main antagonist. So,
the villain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
And then the craziest thing, she says there was a reunion interview. I'm like, we need to find this reunion interview.
So Netflix has a podcast that's out. I skimmed through it, and she's on there. I was going to watch it until they mentioned Matchmaking Season 2. So apparently she's in Season 2. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't want to hit that interview until we started Season 2. I don't know if that's the reunion. It's just her and the two hosts chit-chatting. But if there is one after this season for like Season 1 reunion or Season 2 reunion, let's figure out the timing.
We should.
So where are we here? We go into Cuba, sex tourism. She said about Shaker. He's good.
He's good.
He's good. That's it.
That was it.
That's how they ended the
She
date with Shaker.
she says she doesn't hate him, and she normally hates most people. So, which, okay, like, I have to say, I did relate to her somewhat on this, because, like, the last couple years before I met my husband, I was like, I hated most people, and I used to get anxiety, like, when I would go on dates, I'd be like, I'm probably going to hate them, like, this sucks, right? But then I didn't, you know, then I didn't hate my
at least you
husband,
don't
so.
hate him.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we head back to India to our boy Pradhyuman and lonely Pradhu, poor beta, and he's smoking a shisha hookah in the room with his sister, and she calls him out for being self-obsessed. What do you think about that, Samim?
I mean, he basically agrees with her and says, I'm not self-obsessed, I'm self-employed. Meaning he's like, I make money, let me throw dollars at the strip club. I think that's what he was trying to say.
Okay, one thing I didn't say when we were talking about the date was that he says, I'm a jeweler. And then Snehal asks him, oh, so you had a lot of training? And he's like, well, it was more like on the job training. And it's like, no, he never had training.
He doesn't want to,
this was all nepotism.
Yeah, he doesn't want to say.
It was all it was all nepotism. He didn't deserve his job.
It's practical experience.
Yeah. He just got training on the job without actually having any qualifications. So, yeah.
He couldn't even
he's
say
just a privileged guy.
that it's a family business. That's all you really had to say. People would have been like, okay, cool, and they move on. Makes sense. This guy got into the family business. But he had to show off to a simple and homey girl in his own words.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of related to one of his comments in paraphrasing. It was like, don't put me in a corner, because don't put so much pressure on him that he won't do anything. Right?
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
No way.
That's what I read.
Daddy boo boo.
That was mine.
Were you going there? Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I was going there. But no, that's great. Oh my gosh, Shabnam, that was hilarious. But yeah, don't put baby in a corner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just kind of shut down. So a little bit of that pressure is also, I can relate to that, because that's kind of how I react as well. Like, again, when there's an argument and you talk about my silence, it's also a reaction to shutting down. If there's somebody just yelling, a family member or whatever it is, it's just happening, a fight's happening, I will start to shut down and not react.
Yeah.
So, like, don't pressure me to do something. I'll do it on my own.
Yeah, but I
vacuum your room. Don't pressure me to vacuum my room. I'll do it when I'm ready. So that's sort of I won't vacuum my room, and then obviously I will vacuum my room if there's not that pressure.
There's no way Pradhyuman's vacuuming his room. He has like 6 servants doing that for him.
So Sima Aunty asked him to meet a life coach, and he's open to it because whoever the life coach isn't connected to him. So it'll be like a blank canvas, as to speak, so that he could learn from and grow from, which makes me think, do you want to date the life coach? Is that what you wanted to do?
But also he's kind of saying like he wants to get to know someone before he marries them. He wants to grow and like these ideas that aren't really part of the subcontinental marriage process. And it's again his privilege that allows him to have these ideas, but like 99% of people don't. And so he's just kind of in his own world there, but you know, good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck to you, brother. Bye. And then we move on back to Aparna and her friends. And they're all hanging out. And her friend Divya asks Aparna about Sima Aunty. Do you trust her? Like as if she was Aladdin and Jasmine. Do you trust me? Do you trust me? Do you trust her?
She says that Sima Aunty listens. She doesn't say, I don't trust Sima Aunty or I trust Sima Aunty. She just says Sima Aunty's listening to her feedback and giving her better matches. So trust is not a factor.
She's saying
that's what I got.
Then she's like, she did well. She just straight up says she did well. She did well. And I'm like, okay, it's coming where Shaker is going to dump this chick because it's such a obvious setup that Aparna's getting all excited. She's like, he did well. The only thing was he was talking to other people. Which is fucking hilarious. Like, why can't you talk to the bartender? Yeah. He clearly didn't like her. Like, it was so obvious he didn't like her.
I do appreciate her friends adjusting to, at least in this scene, Aparna's thinking.
Okay. I totally agree with you, but I was just thinking, I'm like, don't you think this scene feels just as set up as Nadia and her friends?
Yeah.
Aparna already knows that he's not interested by these things.
Maybe. I don't know. But also it's like the amount of shade she shaded Nadia in her book for that scene. It's like this scene is like just as bad.
If he's in the hotel room getting interviewed the next morning because he has to fly back to Chicago because they're talking about her hanging out in Chicago, he's already said to the producer, I'm not into her. It was right after the date and she's drinking rosé with her friends. So it's obviously set up. Unless they held it from her that he wasn't interested. But that doesn't seem likely.
I think anytime where you have the scenes of, let's say, these two friends, you had the two friends of Nadia, and you had the parents of Nadia. Like, anytime you have that kind of scene, you're setting that up. You're like, all right, guys, we're coming in today. We want your two parents here, or we want your two friends here, and we want you to talk about the date. And maybe there's like a producer saying this is the direction we want to go in, but we're not going to tell you what to say. And maybe they do suggest some things along the way too when they're filming. Being like, why don't you talk about this? Like, why don't you talk about that? But it's definitely those parts are set up to move the story along.
Yeah. Well, they make it very clear that they're not interested. He's not interested.
That's right. So now we have like the friends are pushing for that second date with Shaker in Aparna.
Which ain't gonna happen.
Shaker is not interested. He's in his hotel room packing. They're interviewing him as he's packing.
With his monogrammed, all his monogrammed stuff.
Yeah, dude's baller, man. I was like, dang,
he couldn't wait to get out of there. J. He's like, I'm not sitting down. I'm packing while you interview me.
But I did notice, I'm like, dude's balling. He's getting custom made suitcases and shit. That's dope. But he says it nicely. He's very articulate and it's very nice. Like, we're very different people with different outlooks. He's laid back, and hers is like, I want various experiences, which we don't know what that means. And Sima says Aparna is very rigid. And then we hit back to Nadia at home with her family. This is that setup of let's see you talk to your parents and have those awkward beats between moments just to set up some drama. And they look at two new people for Nadia since the Vinay thing has gone to poop. She also talks a little bit about Vinay to her dad, saying that he's shady, he was not communicative. And they all kind of said, oh, well, you're independent. You know,
yeah, the mom says it's because you're independent and you spent way too much time doing dance. That's why you're having a hard time finding someone, which doesn't really make sense. But okay, sure.
Might have been a joke because then she's like, Mom, you put me in dance, so how can you blame me? Ha 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 ha.
It seemed like they did Imran's method. They had an argument the night before and then they were silent. And then they came back and they were having like a civilized conversation about it.
That part also I could relate to, or about the dance. Like, hey, you are my parents. You're the ones who molded me into this direction. Like, you have to be part of the blame.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to excuse it as me. And so I related to that in very many ways in my household as well. And be like, you're the one who encouraged me. You put me on stage. That's why I grabbed the mic, and I like the microphone. It's your fault, not mine. So, but anyway, we get to the two new biodatas, and one of them is Savio. He's Malayalam, otherwise known as Malu, as she put it in the
Which is South Indian.
Which Malayalam is in South India. They are from the state of Kerala. Kerala is supposed to be one of the most educated states in India. They are like number one, like how we have rankings, U.S. News rankings out here in the States for number one like schools and all that stuff. The state of Kerala is like the most educated college graduates and everything per capita in India. Which
And
is,
if you couldn't guess from the glowing recommendation Imran gave it, that's where one of his parents is from.
So I am half South Indian and from Bangalore, by the way. That's in the state of Canada. Okay. So,
Yes.
okay. I just had a feeling you guys are just setting it up. Although I was talking about it a lot. But here's the thing with Savio. All right. There's one thing I noticed, just like our boy Srini. I had to screenshot it. I had to pause. It said that Savio was also a podcast
No
host.
way.
He created a podcast host.
I did not catch that.
Podcast with his buddy. I was like, holy crap.
Oh, shit.
Holy crap, another podcast. So I did some research on him. So I was doing a deep dive just to see where his podcast was. It's been wiped from the internet, but I did find one website that had the title of it and the description, and it's called Time Out with Savio and Jonathan. His buddy apparently was Jonathan. If you're a student, homemaker, or someone who has a full-time job, a regular day can be pretty hectic and boring, especially if you spend a lot of time traveling. Make your day interesting by taking your time out with Savio Jose and Jonathan Bosco. Those are very Catholic South Indian names, by the way, who will share their perspectives on various relatable topics in India. If you want to catch up on trending topics in India and also want to have a good time, this podcast is for you. Now, I couldn't find any episodes at all, even archived ones. I couldn't find them.
Because maybe it's not for you.
Yeah, it's not for you. You don't need a timeout.
It's not for me anymore. However, in the time between 2020 and 2024 now, he got married to a white girl. And how I found out about it is that he started a new timeout on YouTube. So he has a YouTube channel, and it's called the Timeout Squad. And it's him and his wife doing the things that, you know, how we've been seeing this over the last 2 years about interracial couples doing like different cultural things. Like this would be a great time to bring in the ones that we've been sharing, that Indian dude and the white lady. But
why? Are they just as boring?
Vanilla. Super vanilla.
So it's not chocolate vanilla swirl. It's just vanilla.
It's I don't know what to call it. I haven't digested it just yet, whichever ice cream it is, right? I only saw the promo video that's on their home YouTube page, and they got 100K views 3 years ago. He proposed to her in a flash mob.
Oh, God, that's so cheesy.
And it was to Bruno Mars, I Want to Marry You. And I was God.
Oh, my God. So Nadia was never going to get with this guy, it sounds like. All right, it's time to move on. This guy's not even in the show. He's not even in the show, guys.
Soft-witted. Okay, so now we head back to the very end of this episode, and we're out with Nadia. And Samim, you're very anxious to talk about this twist. So you two take it away.
The last 20 minutes we discussed about this guy is not in the show. They show the biodata for 1 second.
Savio? Come on. Savio, my boy.
Imran was a little bit too into Savio. A person that's not even in the show. The dad looks at Savio's resume, says he's 5'9", 3 years younger. Nadia's like, what do you think, Dad? Dad's like, what else you got? Who else you got? So they pull out the next biodata, and Shabnam, who is it? Who is it?
It's Shaker.
What the hell, dude? We just saw this guy. We just saw this guy. It's Shaker. He's back.
Yeah.
It's our boy.
Yeah.
He's such a nice...
Sima Aunty,
I'm
recycling.
rooting for Shaker.
They couldn't even get two different people in the same episode for two different women. It's the same guy.
You know, the arranged marriageness of this all is kind of like thrown out the window. They're all going on dates. right?
Sure,
Vinay
sure,
and
sure,
Nadia,
sure.
they just got introduced by somebody randomly. That's all. And they're going on dates. It's not like they're like, do you accept him? Do you accept him? Okay, now we just go straight to marriage.
No, you're right.
Like
they have every
the
opportunity
traditional way that we remember it
to say
by.
no. Yeah. But it is a little, to Shabnam's point, much smaller than a dating app pool. But it is very, whoever Sima Aunty has is all you're going to get. So there might be something better out there for you. She had to recycle right away.
I'm going to defend Sima Aunty in this part of it about the recycle. I think if she looks at the footage of that date and be like, oh, Shaker, you're actually nice and extroverted. You're kind of lovable. And Nadia is lovable. Actually, I probably made a mistake sending you over to Aparna. Let me send you over to Nadia. And the guy travels. Monograms.
Yeah, he already has a travel toothbrush in that monogram bag. He's ready to go.
His bag's already packed. So I'm sure he went
Yeah.
from Houston straight to New York.
We're going to find out, right?
Or New Jersey. And so I guess we are going to find out. That was the cliffhanger of this episode.
Yep.
Hey, shout out to our friends for their feedback.
So let's talk a little bit about that feedback. So we got feedback on the Ambani wedding episode when we were talking about the Healthy event, which is the event where the bride and groom get the turmeric paste put on their face, their skin, wherever they want it. And it's kind of like a facial, right? Like a mask. So we got the feedback that we were kind of dumb for not knowing that it's actually the same thing as something called a mayu or uptan. So these occasions have different names depending on where in the subcontinent you're from. So our friend was basically like, you said you didn't know what that was, but you actually came to mine. It just has a slightly different name. And I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize that it was multiple names for the same thing. I thought they were slightly different occasions. So
I'm not
apologize for being a dummy.
I'm not
I'm not
apologizing.
apologizing
You guys
either.
should have known
I'm
better.
not apologizing.
I'm the one that's not supposed to
No,
know.
you should have known.
I shouldn't have known. You guys should have known.
Look, let's time out for a second. As new podcasters here, and we appreciate the feedback 100% because we discuss it and we take the appropriate means and try to figure ourselves out. We're all growing here. However, there are so many different regions to villages to states within the South Asian region that we cannot simply go and get the hundreds of various terms out to people. We'll try our best to get the more evergreen stuff. South Asians, we're a very colorful group. We're amazing. We have a lot of different variations of our culture, just like biryani. You go to Pakistan, different biryanis from Lahore to Karachi to South India to North India with eggs, no eggs, chicken, vegetarian, shrimp, etc. It's just like that.
Yeah, and also I just want to point out that we are not by no means experts in South Asian culture. In fact, I feel like we're definitely not the people to be experts in South Asian culture.
Speak for yourself.
We are all children of immigrants that grew up in the U.S. We're doing the best we can, but we want to share our experience and what we know. And when we make a mistake, we'll let you know. And we love the feedback from the listeners. So thanks, everyone.
And just to reiterate what you just said as a one-liner, this is the South Asian American take from our upbringings. My upbringing in L.A. is different from your guys' upbringing up in the Bay Area. So, and we're bringing that all together to compare, contrast, and all that good stuff. It's going to be different from the Toronto Daisies and the UK Daisies. So hopefully you guys are entertained, you're informed, you're educated. It's just another way.
But mostly
also,
just entertained,
just
less
entertained.
educated and less
just make sure you're happy, all right, guys? And for our non-Desi friends that are out there listening, thank you for listening. We hope you are also learning and deep diving. We've heard feedback from people that they listened to the first couple episodes and they're like, oh, should I be watching Indian matchmaking? This is kind of actually entertaining. So, shout out to
hear
it. Yeah, we'd love to hear it. We love to hear that type of feedback as well. It doesn't always have to be constructive criticism. It could be positive feedback as well. So, shout out to you guys. Thank you guys for joining us for Chai After Dark. This is Captain Ron.
And Shabnam.
And after 3 seconds, Samin.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Chai After Dark, where we have another special episode, but more in the current events circuit on the tiny, small subject that kickstarted the true crime podcast genre, and that is Adnan Syed and Serial. Shabnam takes us on the trail on what just happened with the Maryland Supreme Court and his current conviction.
This episode was produced, edited, marketed, and created by Shabnam, Captain Ron, and Sameem of Chai After Dark, LLC, in association with Great Pods.
See you next time. Peace out.